Hello you guys! In today's video, I'm going to wrap the whole year up, rate every country that I've been to, tell you my very best experiences and the worst ones. As I'm filming this video, it's actually New Year's Eve. So if you hear some banging noise, that is fireworks. I am just getting ready to actually go out for New Year's Eve and celebrate with my family. This video hopefully will go in just after New Year's Eve. I'll try to edit this tomorrow if I can, we'll see. Happy New Year to all of you guys. I love you guys so much. 2025 has been a pretty great year for me. Travel-wise, experience-wise, I met many incredible friends. I had some of the greatest opportunities of my life this year and I'm so incredibly grateful for it all. I came back from South Africa only a few days before Christmas to see my family. I have not made any long form videos from South Africa yet, but I'll be editing those just after this video. So my South Africa videos from December are coming your way. You can follow my Instagram for more details. I post a lot more of like short, up-to-date updates on my Instagram page, reels, sometimes stories. However, I'm definitely going to also post a lot more long-form videos and shorts on this channel as well, coming 2026, a lot more regular content. But anyway, now let's go on to my best of the year awards and worst of the year. This video is not my original idea. It was actually inspired by Alina McLeod's video, but she traveled to quite a few different places compared to me. This year I traveled to 10 countries. I only count those countries that I've actually traveled to, not just seen my family at. So for reference, these are the countries that I've been to this year. I'm going to put Sarawak, Malaysia, as just Sarawak alone, because to me Western Malaysia is very different to Malaysia on the island of Borneo, so I will not put Malaysia as a whole. When I'm talking about Malaysia, I'll talk about Sarawak, of course. Hong Kong and Macau are very small. Some people even consider them to be a part of China, but for me personally I think they are very different to mainland China, so I'm going to put them as separate. But I'm not going to get political in this video. This is not about that at all. Category number one, best public transport. I would definitely say either Hong Kong or mainland China. I would actually say Hong Kong even more so than mainland China, simply because you can move all around, not just Hong Kong, but also different islands, exotic islands near Hong Kong with so much ease. Metro system in Hong Kong is unreal. Then you can also take buses, little old school trams, and ferries to the very remote exotic islands for hikes. And you can literally take a ferry using the same card as you would to take metro or a bus. Worst public transit would have to go to Brunei. As much as I love Brunei, it's much better to know someone in Brunei before you travel there. It's going to make your experience so much better. Bruneian people own cars. It's a wealthy country and they often have their own drivers, but even if they drive themselves, they drive car. They don't really need to rely on public transport, buses. There is a special app in Brunei, taxi app. However, when I was there, taxi was pretty much always unavailable. Category number two is customer service. I love this category because it lets me talk about people who I've met in these two countries, because I have two Taiwanese, and praise the country for its people and for their hospitality. The first country would definitely be South Africa. You guys, South Africans, offer the best customer service to the point they literally become your friends. The taxi drivers who I would take randomly, Bolt drivers I would use there, they would literally become my friends, and the next thing we know, we just go out for a coffee or to a restaurant. South African people are just so friendly, so happy, despite the hardships that a lot of these people are facing in their life. I mean, South Africa as a whole has huge contrasts and a huge gap between the rich and the poor. But I met a lot of people who even live in townships, yet they are so warm, friendly. I never felt like they had any second intentions, such as trying to get money from you. Not at all. Around Cape Town area, people are very hospitable. I also think customer service in Cambodia is the best. Other than that bad experience that I had in Sihanoukville, all the other places where I stayed were incredible. For example, my host from a hotel that I stayed in Kampot became my close friend. Also, I stayed in this lovely accommodation in Koh Rong. The guy was so nice. I extended my stay at his place and he literally refused to take extra money from me at the end of my stay for those nights that I stayed extra. That blew my mind. I was like, please take my money. Like, I need to pay for this service. I want to pay for this service. It's been amazing with you, but you need to earn money from me. Surely I'm using your electricity, etc. But he refused. When I meet people on the street, they're also extremely helpful and kind. Worst customer service. Don't think any of these countries have notoriously bad customer service. If I had to choose one, I would have to go with Czech Republic. I think I was just very unfortunate with a few things that happened in Prague when I was there. The biggest one for me was when we went to a restaurant and I was traveling there with my family, including my grandma. None of the waiters would actually take any notice of us, which is fine, I'm used to that. But then after I asked a waiter to come to us, he came and he took our order. And then he'd completely forgotten about it. We tried to remind him, the very same waiter, about our order. He acted like we never made an order in the first place and started to take our order again, asking us what we wanted to get. Mind you, my grandma has diabetes, so she was getting very shaky, her blood sugar level dropped. So we ordered for the second time. I did actually mention about her diabetes to him. I even specifically asked him, can you please just serve my grandma first something simple and quick like soup or some bread, something quick and easy to raise her blood sugar levels. But this wouldn't happen, and after second order wouldn't arrive for 30 minutes, we then realized this waiter was in fact drunk. You could tell with the way he was walking and behaving that this waiter was under influence of alcohol. He was collecting plates from a table next to us and he collapsed and all those plates were gone. Some of them were broken, some of them were not broken. Afterwards we left. He was also rude. He made some comments when we left saying like we cannot leave like this, but we were waiting so long at this point. This was over an hour of wait. Probably an hour and 20 minutes at this point. My grandma was not in a good health whatsoever. They didn't even bring this small meal or soup that I asked for my grandma because it was so urgent. So that was an awful situation. Other than that, customer service was kind of just lacking in Prague for us. So for example, in the hotel we stayed, it was all self-service. There was no reception and nobody to ever see and talk to. There's no key. You get a code to get into the apartment building and to your own apartment. But then when things went wrong, such as our Wi-Fi was not working at all, we could not just simply go to the reception. I had to rely on WhatsApp and the communication was difficult, and it seemed like the owner of this place was not even based in Prague. It was beautiful nature. Nature that I really have in my head right now is from South Africa. Cape Town and the whole of coast is just out of this world. I could never expect such beautiful landscapes and nature, and also doing a safari in South Africa is just to die for. Everything about the whole experience felt magical. South Africa has some of the most amazing landscapes, nature, hikes, mountains and sea. I went paragliding for the very first time and I thought it would be terrifying. I thought I would hate every minute of it, and guess what? I loved it so much and became obsessed with paragliding because the scenery was breathtaking. It was unforgettable. It was one of the best experiences of my whole life. I fell in love with South Africa and the scenery is insane. Mountains and sea, just got it all. However, an honorable mention would definitely have to go to China for more diverse landscapes. I traveled all throughout China. Of course, I've not seen each and every province, but I've seen quite a lot of very different provinces from north to south, from east to west. And I definitely think that nature in China is very underrated. Before I traveled to China, I imagined just big cities and skyscrapers, but there's so much more to China than that. But before we move on to the next category, I really want to talk about one company that has made my traveling this year so much easier and better. and this is not the first time you will hear me talk about this company. It is One Mix. One Mix makes the very best footwear for travels, in my opinion. I've traveled a lot this year wearing One Mix trainers, as well as some hiking boots from their sister company called Orzilio. And I have a new pair of trainers to show to you guys from One Mix. It's incredibly lightweight and amazing to take on long travels with you. This is how they look. If I'm going to be talking about fashion trends, 2026 is the year of colors. It's the way where you can really go out there with your clothes and your shoes. Different colors trainers, different color boots, different color sleeves, color blocking. A lot of this thing is in 2026. 2026 is not going to be a boring year. It's going to be exciting, it's going to be colorful, and it's going to be trendy. Look at these trainers. Not only these trainers are incredibly lightweight, but they are also designed especially for running and for high performance. And these, if you like walking for miles and miles every single day, if you travel a lot, if your feet get tired, if you are looking for lightweight trainers with perfect suspension and great for running and that are going to be very easy on your ankles, then these are it. But also these are like giving barbecue and cuteness and style. One Mix, I think, makes the very best footwear, both for looking stylish and for traveling. So check them out, you guys. I'll leave links in the description. When it comes to best food, this might be a quite unusual answer, and that is Cambodia. I love Khmer food the most. It's not spicy. I don't like spicy foods. Khmer food is full of flavor, so much flavor, but lacking spice. I love fish amok, I love their seafood, I love how much vegetables they're putting in each and every meal. It feels quite healthy to me. Don't think I'm a hater of Czech Republic, because I love Czech Republic so much. It was the second time I was there, also second time with my grandma. We love Prague so much. But if I had to choose one country, I would have to go with Czech Republic, simply for the fact that they are huge meat lovers, red meat lovers, and I don't eat red meat. So there was a few restaurants where I went to with my family where I could not really order anything because they didn't have those options. Like sometimes you can order salad, but it's usually like a side salad and it's not really filling enough if you are busy the whole day sightseeing. In many cases, they were lacking seafood, fish, or even chicken or turkey. I had some amazing food in Czech Republic though. I love their dessert. I love trdelník, however you say it. Trdelník. Is that how you say it? They're basically like an ice cream in this bread, cinnamon cone. Oh, amazing. Best weather. Out of all the countries that I've been to this year, I experienced the very best weather in South Africa because it was just perfect for me. It was hot but comfortable. I love hot weather. I like it when it's warm and I don't have to put layers or coats or jackets, and that's exactly how weather in South Africa was when I was there. But without uncomfortable heat, without sweating. I didn't sweat at all because the climate was just perfect. Normally, I tend to travel to places at the right time of year. I always avoid the off-peak season wherever I go because I know I'm a big weather person. I come from the UK. I feel like I'm traumatized a bit by rain and constant cloudiness, to the point that I avoid traveling off-peak, even if that's cheaper, I don't care. So one mistake that I did make this year was traveling to Cambodia in April. It was just way too hot. Year before, in 2024, I went to Cambodia in January and it was awesome. It was very hot, but not heat that feels like it's going to kill you. But in Phnom Penh, when I went this year, it was so hot that I felt like I could nearly faint, and it was so insanely hard for me to film any of these videos outside for you guys because all I could think about is, oh my god, I'm just melting away, I'm sweating away. It's hard to breathe because it's so humid. And this comes from someone who loves warm weather. I love hot weather. I never sleep with aircon or fan on even, but that was just too much. It was way too much. I couldn't do it. it made me feel ill. Best architecture will have to go to Czech Republic. Every single building that I looked at had some beautiful sculptures, figures, statues, artwork. Each and every building was so unique and beautiful that I could literally spend 1 month of walking around the town and admiring the architecture there. Worst architecture? I'm gonna have to go with Sarawak in Malaysian Borneo. I don't think they really care much about architecture there. Sarawak is a perfect destination for nature, and I could also add it as some of the best nature if you like simply very exotic green nature, if you want to go to the national parks. But when it comes to architecture, boy, I was not a fan. Kuching is okay, but I only spent 1 day there. I spent quite a lot of time in Miri, and I've traveled all throughout Sarawak, going to different places along the way. Definitely visually the least appealing out of all the places that I've been to this year. Sarawak, amazing for nature, but in my opinion, pretty bad for architecture. The next category is shopping. Not everyone likes shopping, not everyone travels to enjoy shopping. If you're a backpacker, you may not care about this, but if you really want to take advantage of shopping on a budget and buy some amazing goods, Hong Kong surprisingly was by absolute far the very best place for me to shop. I made a whole entire video about shopping in Hong Kong and how it can save you hundreds and hundreds of pounds when you buy electronics such as MacBooks, iPhones, cameras, DJI drones, DJI pocket cameras in Hong Kong versus if you would buy them in Europe or in Australia. You definitely should watch that video if you care about shopping, because shopping in Hong Kong is truly outstanding. For all kinds of budgets, for all kinds of needs, you will find shops for yourself. But worst for shopping, I would say Brunei. I met so many people in Brunei who told me that they travel to Miri in Sarawak, Malaysia. They drive to another country, Malaysia, which granted isn't far, but they have to travel to Malaysia to find a lot of different brands of clothing, of cosmetics. Brunei is also expensive to buy your goods at. You cannot find a lot of high street and drugstore brands in Brunei. Brunei is a lot about the local boutiques and about Muslim fashion choices. However, I met a lot of people there who were born in Brunei but prefer more liberal style of clothes, and they actually have to travel to Sarawak to get their goods from that. Best value for money and worst value for money, very easy category. The best value for money has got to be China. I was shocked. Other than Beijing and Shanghai, which I had, are quite expensive, China is so affordable. Especially hotels. You can find such incredible hotels for very little money. I actually think China mainland is the most affordable country to travel to as of right now, because your money will go very far. You can also get amazing meals for very cheap. You can buy a lot of nice things there for cheap. And you can shop online and get things delivered very quickly, but I was especially impressed by their hotels. By far the best value for money I have ever seen. And worst value for money, I don't know whether that's surprising or not, but it is Hong Kong. By far, it's terrible. It's so ironic because you go to places like Guangzhou and you can find all these incredible accommodation for very little, and then you take a train to Hong Kong from Shenzhen and oh my boy, I'm so lucky that I have friends in Hong Kong with whom I could stay. Otherwise, accommodation there, hotels there are awful. For the money, they are terrible. You pay a lot of money for them and they are not nice, they are tiny. If you want to live in Hong Kong, it's also very difficult to rent anything nice. You have to have a lot of money to be able to stay in Hong Kong. Next category is best safety. And when it comes to safety, I would give this to two countries. First of all, Brunei. Brunei is one of the safest countries in this world. Whether you're a solo female traveler, even if you're a solo female traveler, it is a Muslim country, and sometimes you may get some people staring, but they will do it in a very discreet way, not like in India, for example. However, as a whole, daytime, nighttime, you can walk around Brunei, and it's so unlikely, incredibly unlikely, that anything would happen to you. People there are wealthy and you don't really hear of crime. It's a very safe country, like really safe and clean and beautiful. Nobody ever even came close or tried to disrespect me or my space. Everyone was very respectful. I never ever had to worry that somebody will steal my stuff ever. It's incredibly safe, Brunei, and for that I really love this country. But China as well. China is so safe, you guys. I was never worried that somebody would steal my things. Daytime, nighttime, I could walk around China and I never had to think twice about it. But with that being said, my next category is the best and the worst places for first-time travelers. And I actually have to say that despite everything I just told you about China, it is still the worst country to travel to for first-time travelers. If you don't have a local who could explain to you everything beforehand and help you set up things like WeChat Pay and Alipay for you to even be able to pay for anything or get any transport from one place to another or be able to buy your food or food in the restaurants, you will not be able to do it. You have to have these things set up, such as WeChat Pay and Alipay. They don't accept cards, payment cards, or even money. Believe it or not, they don't even accept cash in most of the places I've traveled to. They have their own social media, so you need to have a VPN to access Facebook and Instagram. Then Google Maps, you can access with a VPN, but it's not much use to you because in places that I've been to, which are outside Beijing and Shanghai, Google Maps just doesn't really work properly, even with VPN, because nothing is listed on the map. You cannot use it like I could in every single other country that I've ever traveled to. Yeah, for first timers, if you don't know about what different maps apps to use, when you can get someone to set up your payment methods, it is very hard to travel. So if you're a first-time traveler, especially solo traveler, do not choose China as your first destination. Build that confidence within you first. Hopefully travel with a friend or somebody who's already been to China or is Chinese as a first time. Once you get your head around how things work in China and how to travel China, then it's absolutely incredible and life-changing destination. I also think Brunei is not the best country to travel for first-time travelers. I remember when Drew Binsky made that infamous video about Brunei being his worst country that he's ever been to, and I deeply disagree that it's the worst country to travel to. I think Brunei is incredible, it's amazing, it's beautiful. It's definitely a country that I would recommend visiting, and I think locals there are amazing. But it's much better to know people beforehand or make some local friends while you're there to make your experience much easier. And the best country for first-time travelers, out of the ones I've been to this year, it's definitely got to be Vietnam. Vietnam relies heavily on tourism, and they try to make your travels in Vietnam as easy as they possibly can be. You might meet a lot of first-time travelers in Vietnam. A lot of people travel Vietnam and Thailand as their first solo destinations. It's very easy to connect with people there and make friends. There are so many foreigners in each and every touristy place that you'll go to. Also, public transport to go between different places is great. You get these sleeper buses that are very easy to book. People are very friendly and they will help you in your hotels. So for first-time travelers, Vietnam, I would say, is definitely very easy, almost as easy as Thailand. So yeah, I would say that's a very solid choice. So overall, the best country that I've traveled to in 2025, I'm going to mention countries that I've traveled for the very first time this year, but I'm going to mention 3 countries. South Africa has been the most surprising country for me in the very best way. Cape Town is heaven on earth in many aspects. It has its own problems for sure, but for travelers, if you stick to the right areas, it can be heaven on earth, genuinely. For me, it was one of the top travel experiences of my life. But I have to also mention China. I've spent the majority of this year traveling in China. I have fallen in love with China immensely. How modern and developed it was, and how different to anywhere else I've been to. Being in China just completely blew my mind. Everything that China has to offer is way ahead of its time, and it can offer any travel experience that you wish for. I also have to mention Indonesia, because Komodo National Park is one of the most beautiful places in this world. It truly is like another world. I love Indonesia, and I know I haven't seen much of it yet. I'm very excited to explore more of Indonesia, hopefully in 2026. But yeah, that is the end of my video. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you have traveled to some countries, let me know your awards. What awards would you give to each country? Let me know your best ones and the worst ones. And if you're not a traveler, if you're a local, then give me your opinions. This is an open-minded video. I didn't mean to offend anyone. As I said, this is all just based on my personal experiences. If you haven't been to some of these countries, but you are thinking of traveling in the future, this could give you some inspiration. Let me know what you thought down in the comments. Let me know which country I should visit in 2026. Visit my Instagram page for more up-to-date information and travel things, and be able to connect with me more. Please follow my Instagram. I'm also going to post a lot more on here, as I said. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.